What's happening, everybody? Boy, Big Brandoh. I'm over here live with my boy from New York, my homie Diz. What's going down, Diz?
What's up, B? I'm finally here, bro.
That's
Made
it.
it to L.A., man.
Came out to L.A. You're here for the Impressions Expo.
Yes, sir.
And this is a long time coming because since I got onto YouTube, this is way before that. I was doing live streaming on Instagram. And when I used to live stream on Instagram is when you used to jump in.
Yep.
And you was actually serving the people game in the comments and actually helping me out answer questions and stuff like that. So we've been through social media connected for a long time.
Yeah.
Long time.
At least I'm thinking it's at least a decade.
Yeah, it has to be close to that. It has to be close to that. So first time in LA?
First time.
Yeah. So give me the rundown from landing in LA. The homie Mike picked you up. You've been rolling with Mike. Shout out to the homie Mike boosting. Give me the experience, man.
First thing that caught me off guard was the weather, because right before I came down, Rod Beats was live, and they were talking about how 68 degrees was cold down here. And this morning, when I got on the plane, it was 10 degrees in New York. I got off the plane, it was 70 here, and I'm like stripping.
Yeah.
Mike got on a hoodie, and he's like, yo, it's not that hot out here. You know, and I'm like, yo, dude, it is piping out here, man. But I gotta say, man, you know, the main thing that caught my attention is the fact that every street we were rolling down reminded me of, like, everything just looked like a movie set.
Yeah.
The palm trees, and then the buildings looking like it's either the cops' buildings or it's the criminals, you know, set up, or trap house or whatever. And I was just like, man, it's crazy how amazing this place is. Like, there's so many places for you to shoot content.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. You know, what's funny is, I got a lot of people that come from the East Coast out this way, even sometimes from the middle of America that come out this way. Mm-hmm. And one of the first things they always say is everything looks just like the movies. They always say everything looks exactly how I seen it on TV.
Yeah.
Since I'm from here, since Mike's from here, it's kind of just normal for us. You know what I mean? So we really don't see it. But when you went into because you go to the Atlantic City Impressions Expo, right?
Right.
First time at the Long Beach one. Give me the thoughts on that, because now you've experienced both of them.
All right. How real you want me to keep?
Hey, man.
All right. So, 2024, I risked my life going to AC. There was a torrential downpour. Highways was flooded. Showed up at the AC Impressions show, and it was terrible.
Yeah.
The place has shrunk another 15 or 20% as far as the show offering.
Damn.
And it was very disappointing. And I was like, the only reason I went was because the prior year when I interviewed you through Mike, I also interviewed my guy Christian from TKO Sales.
Yeah.
Right? And I told him, yo, I'm going to come out to see you because I hadn't seen him in a long time.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the story off camera.
Yeah.
The affiliation between me and Christian.
Yeah.
Anyway, I get out there, it's like pretty much a ghost town. So, walking into LA Impressions, I'm standing there, not overwhelmed. It's just the sheer size easily has to be 10 or 15 to 1.
Damn.
In comparison.
Yeah.
And then the fact that even though DTF is like the big ticket or the big item at the show, there's so much of it, but it's spread out so well that you don't really get tired of seeing it.
It doesn't feel repetitive, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I found that to be like, that's one of the things, like with the vendor shows that I do.
Yeah.
Some of the promoters don't space out their vendors properly. So they'll have, being that I do like pop culture, so that's like the comic books and all that stuff. any comic book vendors, they might have 2 comic book vendors side by side, and you can't tell what booth is what. Who's
it just kind of just flows
it's like
in.
one big ass booth, and it's like, come on, man. And that's not the case in this show, where 2 DTF providers could be like right by each other, but it doesn't seem like they're competing, so to speak.
Yep.
But again, just the sheer size of like, it's massive. And I would tell everybody that's within listening distance or earshot, if you get the opportunity to come down to this joint, pack your bags, get down here.
Yeah.
It's a good show. Just to even just walk around, it's a good show.
Yeah.
You know?
Today, when I was over there, today's day 1 of Impressions Expo, and this is probably going to post-date this video, but I've never gone, usually it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. This year is Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I usually skip Fridays, like the first day of the show, and I usually just go to the last 2 days. Today, I went to the very first day, and it was as crowded, as packed as it would be on the main day. Like, I consider the second day to be the day everybody shows up. Mm-hmm. For a Thursday, that shit was crowded. It was packed. There was a line for the registration. Like, there was just so many people there, right? And the cool thing was, this show, and I say this all the time, this show used to be just heavily filled with screen printers, screen print companies, old gatekeepers and stuff like that. Now it's catered to so many home printers that this technically is our show now. You know what I mean? And I say our show as in the home creator.
Yes.
You know what I mean? There's so many people now that's getting into DTF or getting into heat pressing or getting into embroidery, that is dope to see a bunch of single head embroidery machines now. Before, it was just the big 6, 8, 10 head machines. Now almost every embroidery spot has a single head machine, and they have a tabletop machine. And to see the DTF printers starting to shrink down now, and now there's smaller DTF printers out there, that's everything is consumer based and not necessarily just big production, big shop stuff. That was kind of my takeaway this year. And the other thing is just, there's a million people in there shooting content. Like, I'm a content creator myself, but to see so many people whip out cameras and their phones and live streaming and doing all this stuff, and it's people from within the industry, but I'm not privy to them. But seeing that, I was like, man, this is cool, because now the word's getting out. Now everybody's talking about this show, and the more the merrier for myself.
Right.
It's because the show's only going to grow. The more people know about it, the more people attend, and the show just keeps growing.
And it gets better, and it gets better with age.
Yeah. And
it definitely does.
I've seen it so much because I've been going to this thing, like I said, for so long, when it was just like invite only. And it was like you had to know a screen printer that's going to give you an invite so you can actually attend.
That's how I started going to them.
Yeah, same here. And that's why I was just like, now it's like crazy to see. And it's dope though. You know what I mean? I 100% appreciate the show for what it is. But I really appreciate the attendees, because people are really going out here to soak up this information. You know what I mean? And like I said, seeing all these content creators, whether they have big channels, small channels, I don't know what the platform is, but everybody spreading the word about it is dope to me.
Yeah, it definitely, like, I definitely saw a lot of YouTubers up in there today. Yeah. And I was like, when I was looking around, looking at the faces, being a so-called veteran of it, you could tell who's new, who's kind of old, that kind of thing. And seeing all the new blood in there and the new life, the new hunger, it's like inspirational and motivational. Yeah. And most definitely, I'm there, like, walking around with Mike and Tom from G6. Yeah. And it just was like, yo, that energy is in there. Yeah. And it's that energy I used to feel going to ISS early in Atlantic City, which is why the very first time I attended, I went 5 years straight. Yeah. Before I took a year off. Because the energy was, and this is when it was primarily just screen printing equipment. in all the various forms. This was way before they had automatic T-shirt folders, automatic screen print, the screen machines.
Yeah.
Before all of that. This was like when manual was big. Ryonet was like babies in the game.
Yeah.
And the energy in the room was just like, yeah, I got to be in this energy. I'm coming next year again.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel right now. Like just walking in there today, I was just like, yo, like at first I was trying to record, right? Popped out my camera. I'm walking around. Yeah. And then I start, I can't focus on the recording because there's this other energy going on that I got to address.
Yeah.
And pay attention to, which was that crowd that you're talking about, those people that were there, searching or researching. Yo, I think I want to use, because I heard the conversations in passing. Yo, I think I want to use these blanks.
Yep.
Yo, that hoodie right there is fire, yo. Like the weight on it. And you see everybody, you know how we do.
Yeah.
We always touching the material.
Touching,
and
pulling on stuff.
Yes.
For me, seeing that, it just showed that people are actually going to this show for the research purposes. Right. You know what I mean? Like, I say it all the time. When I actually go to this show, like I'm tugging on stuff, I'm flipping the shirt inside out, I'm checking everything about it, because if I'm going to use it, I want to actually like put it through its paces. Mm-hmm. So before I even open an account with like one of these manufacturers, I want to make sure it's something worthwhile. You know what I mean? And when I see other people do it and I see them, taking the stuff off the hanger and they're pulling on the stuff, and I'm like, all right, you guys are really, this is what this show's about. Mm-hmm. It's not, there's a lot of people that just walk by the booths but don't go inside, and they might feel a little timid. But when I see people in there really tugging on the shit, I'm like, that's what this is for. You need to get hands-on with this shit. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Most definitely.
And everything looks different online, especially when you was looking at it in a paper catalog before online. You know what I mean? The pictures look way different than it does live in person.
Yeah, and it's sad because there was some brands that I went to specifically check these jackets, and when I touched them, I was like, this is paper thin, bro. Yep. Like, but in their online catalog, it's fire.
Shit looks cool, right?
It looks so dope. But then I'm like, yo, and they really asking for what they asking for it. Like, it don't match up. The numbers don't match up. Yeah. And I just was like, yo, man, let me move on. Yeah. Right. Then I went to a hat booth, and, my goal, or I should say, like this year, I want to invest more time and energy into making snaps. Yeah, yeah. So I'm looking at other hat vendors. Yep. Different colorways, different style types, that kind of thing. I come across this one spot in there, and dude was like, can I help you? And I said, I'm just checking out everything. He seen me grab the hat. I flipped it over. I'm looking at all the branding inside of it. I'm checking out the stitching to see how it's constructed. I'm pulling on the visor, and his energy like completely changed. Yeah. Where at first I think he thought I was just another random browser. Yeah. But after he started seeing me do that, he was like, listen, we make it this way and we do this, and he started dropping all his description or descriptive information on me. And then he was like, do you mind if I scan your code, whatever, I could send you X, Y, and Z. And, so for me personally, like there's stuff that I'm looking at that I didn't even have intentions on looking at. My thing was come down here, meet you, Mike, G6, Rob Beats, right? Yeah. And hit the impression show. Like my main goal. Yep. Just make it down there and do that. Yep. Yep. And now walking through there, it refocused me on like, yo, this is the reason why you come to the shows, is to look for the new merch or that new piece of equipment you might need.
Just doing your research, right? Like for myself, this is usually how I tackle this show is I go with an idea of what I want to go look at and go touch. And then I'll kind of just cruise around. By the time I get to the very last day is when I'll go back around and revisit some of these places and ask a lot of the questions. My questions are usually like if they're California based, if I could pick up the order instead of getting it shipped, right? When I do that kind of stuff, it not that it throws the manufacturer off, but those aren't the questions that they usually answer. You know what I mean? People
Right.
usually go and just want to ask pricing and stuff like that. And for myself, I don't want to pay shipping. So where are you located? Like, do you guys have a Los Angeles location? So then that way, that's going to kind of weigh my decision a little bit heavier if you're here in Los Angeles and I can pick the stuff up. Now, if you got dope ass products, but you're in South Carolina or something like that, that means I'm going to have to factor in pricing, shipping. My production time is going to have to extend because now you're offering a product that I can't get anywhere in California and you're the only person in South Carolina that got it. That makes me go. So that's somebody that I would go back and talk to on the last day of the show and be like, hey, look, this is what I'm doing. I usually order this much whenever I'm doing stuff. I want to know if I could work something out, or is there a price break in shipping or stuff like that? Kind of get the fine detail questions out the way on the last day. But I usually go with an intention to actually look for some stuff.
Right.
So that way there's a million things in that show. Machines, blanks, transfers, there's lights, there's sounds, there's steam coming off of these machines. There's so much shit going on.
It's amazing.
Where it gets confusing and overwhelming easily. Right when you come down off the escalator, there's just shit going everywhere. You know what I mean? And that to me is, for somebody that's just coming in, you almost get like overwhelmed right off that escalator because you're like, shit, which way do I go? What do I? And that's like anytime somebody says, do you got any like advice for somebody? And it's always, going with a little game plan. So then that way you could turn the blinders on a little bit, be like, all right, let me go look at these blanks that I wanted to check out and then go cruise around and get wowed by everything. You know what I mean? But doing the research, that's the biggest part of that show. And I want people to not lose focus of that.
Correct.
Because this is your only opportunity to go and touch and feel and see this shit. Talk to the salesmen, talk to the people. There's a lot of the owners of the companies are in these booths also. Like today, I was walking around the AS Color booth and I was just kind of cruising around looking at new colors, and then just so happened to bump into the CEO of AS Color and got a chance to chop it up with him. So it's like, you never know who's in there. Right. There's no face behind it, so you don't know who you're talking to, but you have the opportunity to ask every question you got under the sun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
definitely gotta take advantage of that.
Oh, 100%. And that's why I was kind of curious on how the Atlantic City one, because I haven't traveled to a lot of these shows. I know there's a lot of people. Rye Beats is somebody that goes to a lot of shows. So it's like, he's been to Long Beach and he's also been to a lot of these other ones. I always want to get everybody's perspective on how does the show compare, and then just what it looks like. You know what I mean? Because the show in Long Beach now is almost like Complex Con. Like it's blown up to where the build out of these booths are crazy. Like there was trucks in there. The Howard booth had the homie in the back pressing on the back of the Jeep. And I was like, shit, what the fuck's going on? Last year, 613, the transfer company, they had like a food truck in there.
Joint,
and that's what I'm saying. Like, these booths now are built out so crazy. Before, it was just a standard little 12 by 12, somebody sitting behind a table.
See, and then that's another part for me personally, because of my podcast journey with the vendor booth, that I'm going and I'm looking at these booth layouts and these booth setups, and I'm like, yo, people is really putting out some bread for these booths.
The build outs are crazy.
Right?
Yeah.
We were, I forget which booth it was, but we were in the booth. As soon as we walked in, I was like, yo, this booth costs so much money. I'm telling Mike, like, yo, this booth costs so much money to build out.
Yeah.
And he was like, what you mean? So we get to talking with one of the reps, and Mike had asked, listen, do y'all sell the samples before y'all leave? And she was like, nah, we pack up the entire booth for the next show. So everything you see in here goes as one unit.
Damn.
And I was like, yeah, that's that money. They ain't letting none of it go.
Yeah.
You know? And again, walking through and seeing this for myself, because you seen how I try to elevate or level up every year with my booth style.
Yeah.
With something in my booth. Just walking through and seeing the new person that's just a 6-foot table.
Yep.
Right? With the little backdrop or the little banner. That's the new person. But then you got the mid-range where there's people that are doing certain things like with the machinery instead of just having it on the table. They're doing features with it.
Yeah.
Right? Then you got the bigger players like Orionette that they got the whole hall.
Yeah.
You know? But again, in comparison with what you were asking earlier, in comparison, AC ain't got nothing on LA.
Crazy. Yeah.
And I mean, and you would think like, yo, this is supposed to be like New York, New Jersey, at least for me being from New York. Like, come on, man. You're supposed to rep, man. Come on, man. The show used to be like freaking incredible, but it's nosedive.
Oh, man.
And there's probably a bunch of reasons, COVID being one, DTF being another.
Yeah.
Because, you know, DTF took a big chunk out of the screen printers.
Yep.
Right? And, you know, a lot of people at some point probably were like, yo, I'm tired of DTF, which I've been hearing a lot. You know, I'm tired of seeing DTF this and DTF that. You know, and then when you see who's saying that, it's usually an old school screen printer. Yeah. Right? Not realizing like, yo, if you incorporate that into your system, you ain't never going to have no problem.
Easy call.
You know? And that little machine could just take up a corner of your room. Yeah. You still got your whole screen print layout. And that one little corner over there could be making just as much as that 100%. Big place.
It's crazy because we're past the part of fighting back, right? And ignoring it. And it's proven that it's here to stay because it's been here for years now. You know what I mean? And a lot of the screen print shops, especially in this area, there's a ton of screen printers like behind us around this location. There's a lot of shops around here. And most of those shops still screen print, but they also incorporate and offer DTF now. It was a little different with DTG because some people got into it, some people didn't. But DTF there's a lot more possibility with DTF than there was with DTG. So that's why there's a lot of screen printers now that are actually using it, incorporate it. If they don't own the printer, they offer the service still. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's hard to fight back now. Like it's a little too late for that. You know what I mean? In my opinion. But going into, I heard you talk about your booth and I kind of want to get into that is let the people know exactly what you do. And then we'll get into some of the vendor stuff. But let the people know exactly what they can find on your channels and your social media platforms, and then just what you do in general.
All right. So my main my main platform for social is Instagram. And I basically showcase all the work that I'm doing. Yeah. Because my brand is a creative studio versus being a niche item.
Yeah, yeah.
I came up in the game, my focus was, or has been, always been, graphics. It's not actually just making T-shirts. It's also making the banners, the wallpaper, building out a storefront. Yeah. All of that stuff. Advertisements, billboards, all that good stuff. That's what my focus was. If I could see it and you ask me to do it, give me a minute. If I don't know how to do it then, I will figure it out. Just give me a minute. Yeah. Like, that's what my goal was. Then, essentially, coming into social and all of that good stuff. Yeah. You know, you start showcasing what you do. And it just so happens that I wear a lot of hats. You know, coming up, my family, like, we didn't have. We were poor, so to speak. Yeah. And going into my teenage years and realizing, yo, we don't have, so you got to do better in order to have something. Yeah. Right? So that forced me, like, I couldn't afford Photoshop. So I used Paint Shop Pro, which was the free alternative. Yeah. That's how I learned how to use Photoshop. And then I got a cracked version of Photoshop. Yeah. And I started, like, from Photoshop 2. Just started tinkering with it. Yeah. Self-taught, nobody's holding my hand. There wasn't none of that anyway when it was out, right? Yeah. So I started learning that. And then at some point, started realizing, yo, my graphics ain't crispy enough in Photoshop. And that's because it had to be made in Illustrator with vectors, where it's all math based.
Yeah.
And whatever numbers you put in, your lines are going to be crispy as hell no matter what.
Yeah.
Right? So that turned into my creative studio, Dizmajiz, which when I went on Instagram, I made this shirt, I made this glass, I did this. Fortunately for me, I was helping enough different clients, or my clientele base was very vast.
Yeah.
So I wasn't bored because my attention span is very short. And the more creative I can get, the better my attention span is, or like you can hold my attention when I'm being very creative. So anyway, I might have a flower shop to work with, and I might have somebody that's designing or needs t-shirts designed.
Yeah.
Somebody that needs club flyers versus somebody that needs animated flyers for the internet, for e-blasts and stuff like that. So I just start showcasing all of that, figuring, let me show people what I could do. It might be a little bit spread out for some people, but I figured if I could throw out 5 fishing poles, so to speak, into a big ocean, I got 5 chances.
Yeah, yeah.
Versus, niche down and just do logos, right? If I just do logos with that one fishing pole and there's all this over here that I know I could do this. Let me go and get that money.
Right.
Even though I wasn't money hungry, but I could go and get that.
That's all opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, again, I did that with Instagram. And then going forward, COVID hit. By this time, I'm doing the vendor thing. Like, I'm real deep into the vendor thing. And the crazy part is I'm sitting there during COVID, you get bored. I always make this joke with my wife, like, we reached the end of the internet because we there, like Netflix and doing all of that. And, we reached the end of the internet. So just sitting there one day and I'm like, man, I got to put this book out.
Yeah.
And pretty much like following your lead with the patch book and all of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, if he did that, I'm not trying to downplay you. I'm like, if he did that and I got 20 years in this area, I know I could put something out just as good.
Yeah.
So I sat there and started writing. I didn't know it was going to turn into be 55, 60 pages.
Yeah.
And then I edited it back and made my first, made the draft, sent it out to a few people.
Yep.
Got some feedback, tuned it up a little bit. And the next thing I know, I'm like, let me put it out and see what the feedback is. I start getting people hitting me up in DM.
Yep.
Can you help me with my booth? What do you think about this? People sending me photos.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And I'm just like, all right, this is another lane for me.
Oh, 100%. And it's a lane that's not really been tapped yet. There's people that show what they do, but there's not a lot of people helping other people elevate whatever they're doing. And when I go to this, I go to the Silhouette Summit, right?
Yep.
I go every year. It's always just crafter ladies, craft fair, scrapbookers, hobbyists. These ladies are just crafters. What I get from them is they're willing to help everybody. They do craft fairs throughout the year. And if something works for this craft lady, she's going to tell the next crafter, check it out. This is working for me. You should be doing this too. And this is how I made it. And this is what I did. They help each other. In our space, there's still the gatekeeper of, I don't want your booth to look like my booth, so I'm not going to tell you exactly what I'm doing. I'll make you take the long way around. So having yourself as the voice of vending, and the proof is in the pudding because it's on your social platforms. You could see the booth build out. You could see how it works for yourself. That right there is all the validation you need to be like, I need this dude's help right here. I need to hit him up so he could tell me how I could elevate this little 8x8 space.
I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. When I first started following you,
Yeah.
right? I was in that gatekeeping phase.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, what is dude doing? You know, like, yo, he's like really giving away the sauce.
Yeah.
And maybe after 2 or 3 episodes, I started to lose the whole gatekeeping part.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't want to, like, to me, that was the selfish side of me, right? Where let me keep all that information to myself, right?
Yeah.
And it's totally understandable when you look at why a person's a gatekeeper, because most of the time the gatekeepers didn't have nobody to teach them or show them or help them,
Yep.
which is my case. So once you gather that information, you just ain't trying to give it away, especially for free.
Yeah.
Right?
And on top of that, you probably spent a lot of time, a lot of money. There's so much that went into the experience of what you learned that you're like, you don't want to just give it away for free and so easy. You know what I mean? Because it took so long to acquire all that.
Correct.
Yeah.
So after watching you a couple of times, I think I watched the very first 2 videos you threw up on YouTube, aside from the Instagram lives.
Yeah.
I watched the first 2 and I reached out to you and I was like, yo, my brother, I don't know you from nowhere and I'm not trying to be a stan.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like a follower or that fanboy.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, coming from where I'm from, yo, I appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah.
Keep it up. I'm rocking with you, right? And I kept that conversation going with you. I didn't know if you like were gonna be like, yo, who the hell is this dude or whatever? Like, this dude is like really crazy or whatever.
Yeah.
But you didn't respond that way. You were like kind in your response. So we hit it off.
Yeah.
Right? And we just kept it going. And the thing was, when that happened, I was like, maybe I should rethink my strategy with this information that I got.
Yeah.
Right? So when the time came for me to do this vendor thing and give up that information and really look at my history with it, it made me realize that, yo, I actually been vending since like 8 years old.
Yeah.
7, 8 years old, back in the day when we were doing these events at where I grew up at. And I was helping create the basketball jerseys.
Mm-hmm.
Then we would go into the courts. We have a 6-foot table set up, handing out the jerseys to the players, getting them to sign the books, which is all like running a booth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? At the time, obviously, I didn't realize it. But when I started doing the research to launch the podcast, yo, you know, it 1 and 1 added up. And I was like, yo. Then I start realizing the little intricacies of it all and all the different shows that I had done where I either assisted or helped build out a booth and all of that. I personally count from when I physically started really getting inside the booth with my clientele.
Yeah.
And being at the shows. That's where I physically count my 20 plus years doing it. You know, and then fast forward and now where I do a handful of shows because I don't need to do a whole run of the year.
Yeah.
Because I'm not built for it personally. I know my limitations.
Yeah.
Right? I handpicked the shows I wanted to do.
Yep.
What's the best ones out my run? When my thing with New York Comic-Con came to an end.
Yep.
Right? When that whole run came to an end, I inquired about going and doing New York Comic-Con on my own. However, the money wasn't there for me to participate.
Yeah.
Right? And it didn't make sense at the time, even though I knew I could make the money back.
Yeah.
It just, the investment was a little bit too big for me.
Yeah.
So I decided, you know, instead of taking that large investment and doing one show, I'm going to take a quarter of the investment and do 10 shows.
Yeah.
And I did 10 shows on my own. And then after that year, I started to realize which ones were the better ones, started handpicking them.
Yeah.
toned it all the way down. I got down to 6, and then I got down to 4.
Yeah.
And those 4 shows were bringing in like a quarter of my annual.
Yeah.
You know, and that was a big thing for me.
Yeah.
Right? And it wasn't little effort.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't even really trying hard to be successful at it. Then one day I just said, yo, you know what? Let's get better at it. Let's level up. Every time we come out, so I started designing my booths according to my shows.
Hell yeah.
You know? And I think I showed you some of my stuff ahead of time. And I showed you like, yo, I was making blueprints of how to make X, Y, and Z. And then I was like, if I'm sharing it with you, let me share it with everybody else too.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
So I just started, let me show people, all right, this is how you make your banner.
Yep.
This is how you make your tabletop cover. If you have this or if you don't, all you need is iron.
Yep.
You could get this vinyl from this place or that place.
Yeah.
Because most of the people that contact me, for the most part, they want to sell T-shirts.
Mm-hmm.
The same places that you get your T-shirts from, you could get your stuff for your booth
100%.
build out.
Yep.
You know, in terms of your graphics.
Yeah.
You know, you could get DTF prints and go to town.
Yep.
So, again, man, all of it came full circle during COVID. Like I said, I wrote the book, put the book out, got a really good response. And then what really caught me off guard was how many people really asked for help.
Yeah.
So when those DMs started coming in, my numbers weren't saying what the DMs were saying.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, I put up a post, I get 2 likes, 3 likes.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Oh, I only got 2 followers.
Yeah.
I only got 20 followers or whatever. Meanwhile, I got 20 or 30 DMs like, yo, can you help me with this or that?
Yep.
And then the other part was people were so appreciative that they wanted to tip me. And I would say, I'm not interested in the tip.
Yeah.
But if you want to support, here's the website.
Yeah.
Do whatever you feel you must.
Yeah.
So I started selling a bunch of books there as well.
Yeah.
You know?
100%.
So.
You know what's crazy is this is how I feel and I see it working on my social platforms is I always tell people, leave any question in the comments, right?
Correct.
There's so many people that hear that and still go straight to my DMs and ask a question. And if I showed you guys my DMs, let's say out of 150 DMs that I get, because I get hundreds a day, out of the 150,
imagine, bro.
Probably 40 are the same exact question. And then the next 40 are the same exact question of a certain topic. You guys don't know that. You guys all have the same questions. And there's no question that's a dumb question. Right. So that's why I say put it in the comments because, one, there's somebody like you in the comments that could possibly answer it for you. I'll see it in the comments and I'll make a video about it if there's enough people asking that same question. Right. But imagine me going to all 40 people and just copy and pasting that same exact answer to that same question. You know what I mean? It's easier for me to make a video and just get it done that way. But there's so many people that are kind of scared and nervous because they don't want to look like a novice. And there's really, if you're a beginner, you're a beginner. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It's basically a judgment-free zone when it comes to just business in general. Mm-hmm. It's everybody had to start at the very beginning.
Yeah.
And everybody does it. So with social media, everybody's trying to help now. You know what I mean? So when you have questions, yeah, it's cool. Jump in Diz's DMs or mine. Sometimes I don't get to them because the question is so repetitive that I've made 15 videos about already.
Right.
Where it'd be easier for you to just like look 2 or 3 posts down and then get your answer that way.
You gotta do some homework.
A little bit. You know what I mean? And if not that, just ask the question in the comments because like I said, you got people like yourself. And we were just talking about the Facebook group not too long ago. There's so much experience in that Facebook group that all of those guys are willing to help. They're just waiting for the questions to be asked so they could start helping out. You know what I mean?
It's really frustrating being one of the leads in the group. And I know what I bring to the table. Yeah. Right? And I'm not a know-it-all. I'm not saying that my responses is always the correct ones. But I'm going to keep it 100 with y'all. Yeah. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm going to tell you like, yo, look, the business ain't easy. yes, it's easy to make t-shirts, but the business is not easy.
Yep.
Because you have to, first and foremost, if you ain't about risk, if you can't lose a buck, then you should not invest the time.
Yeah.
You know, because the job is not, or the whole thing is not about money. It's about time. And you don't want to waste your time.
Yep.
You know, you should have some sort of vibe for it all. Whatever it is you get into, whether it be being a vendor, selling t-shirts, or whatever you're into, your time is more precious than everything.
Yep. Yeah,
so
I agree.
You don't want to waste it. You don't just want to, you know, like when we were talking earlier, how people come to ISS, see the machines, they get the, what is it called? The shiny effect or whatever it is. Oh, I need that.
Yep.
Go and spend $25,000 on an embroidery machine and then get it home and it's a paperweight.
Yep.
And I've been there too.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of money on equipment that I haven't used.
Yeah.
Right? But the difference is I walked in knowing I'm spending 25 G's, it's gone.
Yeah.
And I was cool with that.
Yeah. To be a business owner, right? We're risk takers. A lot of people forget that. A lot of people think I'm a business owner. The title is what I really want.
Right.
But I don't want the risk that comes with that title. You know what I mean? Because they forget about that part. They forget that you're investing your own money.
Correct.
You're investing all of your time into this thing. And a lot of times being a business owner means you're working like 7 full-time jobs just at this thing and you're not seeing any reward for the first year and a half.
Correct.
And you're grinding this thing out. But you have, like you said, you have to have a little bit of a passion for it before anything else, because there's so many people that I talk to all the time that there's people that go to this ISS show, right? I'll see them. They tell me, hey, I just started my business, blah, blah, blah. They're all in. I see them the following year and they're like, I switched gears. Like now I'm here looking for embroidery because the DTF thing didn't pan out, but I'm about to get an embroidery machine. I'm like, wait a minute. Like, let's plan this thing out a little bit better before you just jump into something else, put yourself in more debt, and you ain't even got out of debt for the first machine you bought. That's not going to help your problem. You know what I mean? It's people, a lot of people just want to be business owners just because of the name sounds good and I own my own business and they feel that's what they have to do. But some people are better employees than they are the boss. You know what I mean? And if you're a hard worker, you're a hard worker. Like you don't have to own the company.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, not at all. Not at all, man. And I see it so much, but I'm not trying to, it's not like I don't want to be a downer towards anything, but a lot of times I just don't want people to put themselves in debt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's so easy to do within this business.
Yeah.
Way easy. Like, man, like this weekend alone, I could drop a lot of money in this place because I'm looking at machines that I'm like, I think I could use this and I know I can make some money off this, but I know I can't afford it.
I'm not bringing no machines home. My wife, Faith, I'm not bringing no machines home, even though I saw about 3 or 4 that I want.
Right? It's crazy, man. Let me ask you this, man. Where'd the name Diz come from?
So, growing up, my mom, well, when I was born, my mom said I looked like Mickey Mouse, so she named me Mickey.
Yeah.
So growing up, I was going by that name, Mickey.
Yeah.
And I got into wearing Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
Everything, every day was Mickey Mouse, right? As I grew older, I got tired of the name. Then the song came out, Oh, Mickey, You're So Fine.
Yeah.
That got me into a lot of fights.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So anyway, growing up, here I am, a teenager. I'm the only one or one of the only ones out of my crew. It was about 300 of us growing up in the projects. It was about 300 of us. And I'm one of the only ones that didn't have a so-called nickname or moniker.
Yeah.
One day, me and my man Spit, we in the Chinese restaurant. And, you know, we got our order, we waiting. And he yells out, yo, I got it. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, yo, I'm going to call you Disney.
Oh, because of the Mickey Mouse
Because of
thing?
the Mickey Mouse thing.
Yeah.
And I looked at them. And at the time, I was searching for a name, right? I was going by my world, like, because I was caught up in my world with my graphics, right? So I was going by my world, which it was trash, to be honest, but it was what I was working with. When he said Disney, I was like, yo, I grabbed my Chinese food. I left him in the restaurant, ran upstairs, took out a sheet of paper, just start writing Disney over and over. Not the way that Disney actually spells it. So I was like, all right, I got to spell it like ghetto style. So Diznee, right? And once I started doing that, my original idea or my catchphrase was where imagination becomes reality. So it was like my world where imagination becomes reality.
Yeah.
I always liked the idea of, like, back in the days, there was this company called Minolta, which you probably know of.
Yep.
They used to have the commercials from the mind of Minolta. And I always wanted something like that, right? So I used to be like, from the mind of, but I never had that.
Yeah.
So finally, when I got this name, Disney, I'm like, how can I mix that with the imagination?
Yeah.
And I started looking at the derivatives. So imagination, images.
Yep.
Right? So broke Disney in part. So just had Diz and images.
Yeah.
Put the two together, respelled it, and was like, all right, I'm going to give a shout out, little known fact, give a shout out to my mom. So I spelled it Dizma, Ma.
Yeah.
Jiz.
Yeah.
So the word images, instead of spelling it Images, I just did IMA, like Ma.
Yeah.
And then Jiz, which is the same, it sounds the same as GES.
Yeah.
So put those together, had the word Dizmajiz. Everybody was like, what the hell is that? You know, they was taking it for a bad reference.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? However, it caught on very quick in my hood.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was big on, like, the hood because that's where I started.
Yep.
That's where the immediate work was coming from that circle.
Yeah.
And everything worked out until I went to register. And when I went to register, it was hell. They was like, yo, this is not even a word in the English dictionary.
Yeah.
So I actually had to write down the origin of it, get it notarized, submit that to the business administration in order for them to actually accept my paperwork and everything.
Damn.
And it was crazy because they had sent me a letter like, yo, you might have to get lawyers involved to verify that this. I'm like, what I need lawyers for if I'm the one that made the word and it's my name?
Yeah.
But then finally somebody in that small business administration saw it and was like, everything's good. But it took me a good 3-4 months to get my registration done.
Damn.
Yeah. So anyway, the name came, and once I had that name, it was it. It was like, I'm not going to be known by nothing else.
Yeah.
The other thing that I liked about the name was it had no direct tie to anyone's thing.
Yeah.
And that was my biggest thing, was I don't want to be in a box.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't want to be focused on just logos, just this other thing I could do. I want to be able to do everything.
Yeah.
Even if I spread myself thin, that's the risk that I'm taking.
100%.
Right?
Yep.
But if I'm fortunate enough, which I've been totally blessed, and I've been very fortunate to be doing this thing for, what am I, 40, 50. All right, so we doing 42 years.
Yeah.
I've been getting paid since 14 years old off my graphic work.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. I've been very freaking blessed, very fortunate. Even when I went bankrupt and all of it.
Yeah.
I still always knew I had these boys and I got this.
Yep.
And my imagination is sick.
Yeah.
I've always been able to just on the spot, come up with stories and characters and then I start seeing the visions like almost like what was the movie where Homeboy, the Rain Man?
Yeah.
Almost like that.
Yeah.
Almost like that kind of ability to just be like fluid with this creative vision. And again, not to be boxed in. So my name Dizmajiz, that's what it totally represents. I mean, I know I was long-winded with the response, but it's just all-encompassing of what I could do.
Yeah, I know, I get that.
So
that's crazy because like I've always just seen it and kind of just thought it was maybe like a company or something, right? Like I didn't know exactly what it was. And when you when you reference somebody from like their Instagram handle or something like that, that's just a normal thing now. You know what I mean? I do it to everybody. I do it to family members. Like sometimes I don't even call them by their name. I call them by their Instagram name. And when I started seeing yours, then it was just like, it just became Diz. And I would just reference you as Diz if I seen you in the live stream or whatever it was. But I don't think I ever asked like, hey, where'd the name come from? Or I didn't even know if I was saying it right. You know what I mean? Like it was always a question, but I just never bothered to ask because it just came normal as, oh man, that's just Diz. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I've been, again, from day one, it's been Disney, and then being the way that the hood is, they always cut it down. Like I need it short and sweet.
Yeah.
So the hood called me Diz real fast.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yep.
But then when my guys seen, yo, this is the name of the company, they say the full name when they yelling across.
Yeah.
Yo, Dizmajiz.
Yeah.
Yo, especially like we got this thing called Cedric Day, which is an annual event where I grew up at.
Yeah.
And I usually make shirts for the event. And when I show up there, bro, it's pandemonium, bro. And it's a beautiful thing to see, like, these people from the hood that I grew up with support that vision. Yeah. Which is easy for me because I'm the so-called avatar. Yeah. So it's easy for me to create the line, which it turned into a line for the hood, for my hood, I should say. Yeah. And again, I walk in there and I feel like a rock star, like, yo, Diz is here. Yo, Dizmajiz, where's my shirt? That kind of thing. Yeah. So a lot of people tend to leave off the end. Yeah. For fear of mispronouncing it. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Which I never had a problem with it anyway. Yeah. Because I go by that. Yeah. So it's a beautiful thing for me.
That's dope. So speaking of your neighborhood, let the people know where you're from exactly. I know I said you was from New York, but clarify a little bit. Where in New York are you from?
Okay. I grew up in the projects on 174th and University, which is right up the steps from where Kool Herc started hip hop, which is 1520 Cedric Avenue. Literally, like if I was to show you on Google Maps, you would freak out. Literally up the steps. Like you seen the movie The Joker when he was dancing on the steps?
Oh, yeah.
That's actually one of the staircases that's around my neighborhood.
Oh, damn.
And there's a staircase similar where my projects, where you enter into my projects, there's that same similar staircase. Yeah. Goes right down to 1520.
Oh, damn.
So it's like one long one like that, and then a secondary one in 1520 is literally like 2 levels below us. So my projects is 7 buildings. We're encapsulated in like a little circle. Yeah. But we grew up right in the midst, like right dead center in the middle of hip hop. So in my projects, we got Kool Keith from Funky 4+1 More. Scott LaRock lived in my building on the 7th floor. Scott and Chris Sterling, they were like my brothers growing up. Damn. I used to get hand-me-downs from Scott. I'm not ashamed to say that. Yeah. Who else was in the... It's just a plethora of hip-hop heads from my area, right? Like, literally down the hill from us was T. LaRock, It's Yours. Yeah. Special K and the Treacherous 3. Like, all these people. My partner, when I was doing the music, my man Tone, T.O.N.EZ. He's the brother of Special K and T La Rock. So that lineage, the hip hop lineage was there. So whether he wanted to or not, he was going to be rhyming.
Yeah.
And then that lineage extended to like T La Rock had Greg Nice, which is the beatbox, you know, Greg Nice.
Yep.
And that led to like DJ Louie Lou. Like there's so many, and Mantronics, like there's so many people in the game around where we were at. And I know I'm forgetting a lot of people, but just that my whole area, my projects is here about, what is it? Maybe like 5 or 6 blocks up is Cedar Park, where KRS-One said, power from the street light made the place dark. Cedar Park, where they used to hold the jams, is one spot where hip-hop jams originated. Then there's another spot, which is Public School 82, which is on my avenue, like University Avenue.
Yeah.
Which is like 174th. It's about maybe 3 or 4 blocks up. Public School 82 is where I first saw Grandmaster Flash and the whole crew.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
Crash Crew, like all these original people I saw perform at 82, including Kool Herc. And they used to come out with these so-called booming systems where it just be truckloads of speakers.
Yeah, yeah.
And you would, as a young kid, stand there with your ears covered like that, but you would stand there and that bass would like just
you was feeling
pound you.
Yeah.
But there's something about that frequency, them beats, that just had me like, you know, and fortunately, like I was in that. And that also was part of my upbringing. That also shaped my earlier style because, of course, I'm seeing these dudes do graffiti everywhere. So I would grab my cans of paint and do my dirt inside the staircases and stuff like that, tag up whatever I need to tag up.
Yeah.
I drew the line when I was invited to the train yard.
Yeah.
I drew the line there. I was like, my man crossed the 3rd rail and I was like, there's no way I'm doing that.
Yeah.
I'm done.
That's right.
You know, and I got up out of there and I went from doing it on walls and stuff to putting it on paper.
Yep.
And just trying to hone the style.
Yeah.
But then I also realized that I couldn't do what that man was doing. You know, I actually got into drawing because of my cousin. Mm-hmm. My cousin Tony is a naturally born artist.
Yeah.
And at 4 years old is my earliest recollection of seeing him draw. There used to be this thing called a TV Guide. And in the back of the TV Guide, they used to have these art contests. And it'd be like a donkey.
Yeah.
And you had to draw the donkey. You submitted, you win $50 or whatever.
Yeah.
I watched this man draw that joint 3 times. He got disqualified all 3 times because they said he traced it.
Damn.
Like, I mean, picture freaking perfect. And I watched him do that, and I was like, I want to do that so bad. So I would grab a pencil. He's a few years older than me.
Yeah.
I grab a pencil and try and draw like him, but I never could.
Yeah.
So I started developing my own style.
Yep.
Which also leads to the whole, I'm not biting off of anybody.
Yeah.
Remember that that terminology, that slang terminology. Early in hip hop, you could not be like anybody else.
Yeah.
Which is another reason why I was like, all right, I gotta learn how to do this myself. And another reason why I didn't use DISNEY for my spelling.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Because I was not going to be biting off of this company.
Yeah.
You know? It's bad enough. It's bad enough the name is phonetically similar.
Yeah. But
I want people, when they think about me, they don't think about Mickey Mouse at all.
Right.
You know? So that's why I never, and to switch lanes real quick, I was so into Mickey Mouse, I learned how to cut my own hair, and I started crafting Mickey Mouses all in my head. Whatever style I wanted, I used to make mean faces, him with like weed or whatever, and I'd just be there in the mirror cutting. People didn't believe I could do it.
That's
my man
crazy.
stood there, watched me one day, and was like, yo, I cannot believe I just watched you do that, bro.
That's crazy.
But it's that creative gift that I got.
Yeah.
That I refuse to let anybody put out. I don't let nobody, God himself or herself could come down here and say, yo, you can't do that no more. And I'm being sorry.
Yeah.
You got to strike me down, brother.
Yep.
Because there's no way that I'm going to stop doing this.
Yeah.
You know, as long as I'm breathing, this and it's wild. It's wild having this kind of creativity. Because I don't meet too many people that's of the same caliber, so to speak.
Yeah.
Or has the same kind of creative energy that I do. Because I'm constantly thinking the next thing.
Yeah. You know what? I had this conversation with my wife not too long ago. And, you know, there's times where your brain can keep you up at night, right? Your brain is just on overdrive all the time. For myself, if I get into like that creative flow where it's just ideas are just boom, boom, boom going, there's no turning it off. Even if I'm dead tired and I'm supposed to be sleeping, there's no turning it off. But when you try to explain that to somebody who doesn't have that, you sound crazy. You sound ridiculous when you're saying ideas are just coming to me and I can't turn them off. And they're talking to me and I see it in my head, so I need to get it out. Because if I don't get it out, then I'm just going to be sitting on it and it's just going to keep me up still. You know what I mean? And I have an iPad Pro by my bed, and when stuff like that comes up, boom, knock it down. Even if it's just a rough draft and I just get the idea out with a little description of what I was thinking, I could pick it up the next day. But if I don't do that, my brain is just,
it moves on to the next so fast.
And you're like, oh, damn, this right here worked too. And then it's like you open up like a door that leads to another door, and there's no stopping it. It for myself, shit'll keep me up all the time. You know what I mean? And I used to be like, I got insomnia. I got this. I got it. All it is just natural creative flow that your brain just doesn't know when to turn off, because sometimes your brain just thinks it's daytime and the ideas is coming. You know what I mean?
Right.
It shit is wild to me. And I was explaining it to my wife because she was like, man, you was up late. You was doing this and the glow from the iPad and all that. I'm like, man, I just had all these ideas. I need to get them out. You know what I mean? And once I put them down, I'll start sending pictures to people, send pictures to my partner, Dave, like, hey, I just thought of this, or I'm do this, or we'll send ideas back and forth just to build on certain things. But when that creative just engine starts rolling, shit goes. And my brain works like that every single minute of the day. I'm thinking of, how can I better the store? How can I, make some more content? How can I make these t-shirt designs? I'll drive by somewhere and I'm like, these people right here need t-shirts. How would I make t-shirts for these dudes? And it never stops. I know how to control it and kind of like put it on a shelf in my brain on what to prioritize. But some things, it's just hard, man. And when you speak to another creative like yourself and hearing what you do, basically how you take care of certain things or how your brain works, the similarities are there because there's somebody that kind of, I don't even want to say feels the same pain, but you're just basically, your brain is working similar to mine. And it's easy to bro down with somebody and be like, hey, check it out, man. I know the feeling.
I really think that's why we clicked, because when you was telling your story, I'm like, God damn, yo, this dude is like a carbon copy.
Yeah.
You know, you was doing the rap thing. I was doing the rap thing. You started selling T-shirts out the trunk. I was selling T-shirts from the hood. Like, then like, I forget what it was that you were talking about, like your upbringing, and you were doing something, and it literally was like my story or part of my story. Yeah. And I was like, yo, me and this dude, yo, we are like, like distant cousins or something, like, not to be funny or anything, but just like that similarity was too deep.
Yeah.
And now like sitting here and you saying like, yo, there's times, bro, there was literally a day where I was sitting in my house. I was literally crying because there was so much information circling in my head.
Yep.
And I was like, yo, I couldn't calm it down to just get one idea out.
Yeah.
it was so much swirling, and I felt like crazy overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Almost like, literally almost like today.
Yeah.
When I left this morning, right, hugged my wife, and I'm like, yo, I can't believe I'm on my way to LA.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
I get in this freaking Uber, which I've never been in an Uber.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting in there with my thoughts, first time being a passenger
Yeah.
in years. And I'm sitting there, I'm texting back and forth with my wife. You know, she's all excited for me, and I'm so freaking grateful.
Yeah.
And I get to the airport, and I'm like, yo, I'm going to freaking LA.
Yeah.
I'm standing at the JetBlue terminal, and, you know, it says LAX,
Yeah.
and I'm like, yo, this is really, I get on the plane, and normally when I get on the plane, when them doors shut, I get like these razor blades in my ears.
Yeah.
And it usually has me crying on the plane, like it hurts so bad.
Yeah.
I ain't have none of that.
Damn.
And I was like, yo, what is going on, yo? I'm supposed to be here. And then, again, I get here, get off the plane, I see Mike, and I'm like, yo, I'm meeting my man Mike.
Yeah.
After something like what? Maybe 8-9 years.
Easy.
Right?
Yep.
Because I met him later on after
Yeah.
affiliating with you, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, yo, this is gonna be crazy, yo, you know, and I'm just, yo, this is so crazy. Like,
Yep.
and I think he thought I was like exaggerating, but it's even sitting here right now, it's a wild feeling for me.
Crazy, right?
But it has me, like, I'm sitting here, these thoughts is running through my head, like, yo, when I get back, I'ma fuck some shit up.
Exactly.
Yo.
Exactly.
I also came down here to reset.
Yep.
You know, because I gotta reset that flame.
Yep.
And again, walking in there into the impressions and seeing everybody and just seeing that whole place full of these machines that I wish I could have every single one. But, you know, I'm not blessed enough.
Yeah.
But hey, I'm also not begging for it. If it comes, it comes. But again, I'm there. That inspiration, I'm feeling like, oh yeah, when I get back, it's about to be on. And now you saying what you just said about that creativeness.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling that right now, like, yo, when I get back,
Yeah.
you know, I didn't bring no pads or anything with me, right? So I'll probably stop at a Walmart or something and grab a pad and a paper.
The notes app in my phone, it's full of notes that say like new t-shirt design and the date. And it's like 1 million of them in there because shit comes when I'm at the stoplight. I'm like, oh, I got to write this down.
That's that Rolodex.
Yeah, I got to get this out real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I was just going
Rolodex.
through my notes app. This is probably right around Christmas, right before Christmas. I was going through it and I had stuff from like 2000 and probably 19, right before the pandemic that was saved in the notes app. And it was some gems. And I was like, man, I forgot I even thought about this. And I save everything on my hard drives. So I went to the hard drives to see if I ever brought it to life. And there were some things that I did, like I said, 2018, 2019. And I was like, man, I got to bring these back or I got to fix them up to make them current. And it's just, there's so much that happens in my brain that I put down that I forget about. Sometimes I do it. And at the moment I think, oh, nah, I didn't execute it the way I wanted to.
Correct.
I just save it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I forget about it.
Right.
And 5-6 years later, I'm looking through these old hard drives and I'm like, oh shit, I had this.
This was here.
I need to fix this or I need to do this. And
yo, I could put that out.
yeah, it's such a crazy thing. So when you're saying you didn't have no pads and nothing, I was like, man, there's times that I feel like that if I'm like jotting something down on a napkin or if it's just in my phone and I'm just like being as descriptive as possible in the notes app just so I could get it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the release for myself is just like, I need to get it out as long as I have it so I don't forget it. You know what I mean? And so then that way I could turn my brain off a little bit so it could go to the next thing and not just stew on the same thing on how I'm going to knock this idea out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I was again, like the whole thing with like saying, I'm coming to LA.
Yeah.
Right. I was like, I willed it. However, that might be taken. I knew I was coming.
That's right.
Somehow, some way, right?
Yeah.
And when I got here, again, I saw you before you saw me.
Yeah.
And I told Mike, I said, yo, here's my phone, record this.
Yeah.
And I did the New York bump to you. And you turned around like, what the?
Yeah.
You know, and I caught you off guard. I knew I caught you off guard. And you was like, yo. And it took you a minute to realize, yo, I got something going on.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't want to, to me, like, it was a sign of respect. Like, you didn't want to blow the moment. So you were like, yo, I have an appointment, but I'm getting up with you, right? And I caught you when you was coming in, and I'm like, yo, my dude, I'm here. And I'm telling you, B, like, walking into your shop, like, I've seen this almost from day one.
Yep.
And seeing it now, being here in your presence and doing this right now brings another whole level of creativeness to me.
Hell yeah.
You know, like I'm looking at what can I incorporate from this for my pod?
Yeah.
What can I incorporate from that for my lines?
Yep.
What can I do, you know, like, what can I do similar?
Yeah.
Not stealing your art.
No, yeah.
But what can I do similar, or what can I do to make something that has that little flair like that?
Yeah.
You know, so those are all notes that I'm locking in.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So that way, you know, again, I don't have the pad to do it, but physically I could see, all right, I love that. I'm going to take that little piece. I probably could.
Yeah. And it's just getting the wheels turning, right? Mm-hmm. And everything's in motion. Speaking about when you bumped into me at ISS, I had this conversation earlier in the day when I got there because I was still registering to get in, right? Like I was getting my lanyard and stuff. I was standing in line. So I'm pulling up the app or pulling up the little QR code and all that stuff. And somebody tapped me from the back and they was like, yo, man, I watch your videos, this and that. And I'm waiting in line and I'm next in line and I'm talking and I'm holding up the line and I'm telling the dude like, hey, like, we'll catch up right. Like, let's just both register. Let's talk right outside here so we don't, hold up the line. But the dude was so like, I don't even want to just say excited to see me, but you could feel the energy. You know what I mean? It was like, I'm here because of you. And I didn't want to feel like I was blowing them off. But at the same time, I'm like, these other people behind us, they don't know who the hell I am. Yeah. And I was like, we got to keep it moving. So when we got out of that room and then, we had a chance to chop it up and talk, it was, I forget my own internet personality, celebrity in itself, right? I talk to the people just how I talk to you, talk to anybody. You know what I mean? I was headed to that 1 o'clock with Heat Press Nation. I was already late. You know what I mean? Right. Because I had just, I forgot who I was talking to in one of the other rooms. And I was like, I got to go because I'm headed over here. And that dude stopped me with his family. And I didn't want to be rude, but at the same exact time, I wanted to give him the same energy. You know what I mean? Because one, he watched the videos. He had genuine questions that he needed some help with. So I was like, yo, man, I'm going to give you your time, even though I'm running late.
Right, you appreciate that support.
And I was like, I'm not going to blow this dude off because chances are, what if he don't see me when I get back? Or what if today's the only day he's going to be here?
Right, the only moment.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't want him to go home and be like, man, fuck that dude. Like, you know what I mean? So I wasn't trying to like big time on anything like that. So when you came up, it caught me by surprise because I was already rushing. Like not that I was trying to rush the conversation, but I was hitting him with basically trying to help his situation. And, his wife had some questions and we're talking. And then when you caught me by surprise, I was like, oh, damn, like I'm going to get caught up right here because I'm going to be talking to you. And then I'm going to completely miss Heat Press Nation. So I was like, let's try to wrap everything up. I knew I was going to hook up with you after this after the show. So I was like, oh, man, I'll have time to sit down with him after the fact. But I didn't want it to come off like I was basically like kind of shutting that dude out because like I said, like I didn't know if he was going home for the day and he was from Arizona. So I was like, man, like you traveled all the way out here. You came out here to do some research. Yeah. You knew about the show because of me. So I was like, and I seen him earlier in the day and I was in one of the booths and then it was just like a crowd of people that were just asking questions and talking, taking pictures. And I seen him kind of just hanging out and I knew he wanted to get involved, but he was you know, kind of just like waiting his turn. And then I ended up moving on. And then, you know, so I was like, man, like I got to give this. He just standing on the side, like, let me just like hook him up real quick. Cause I want to meet everybody at these shows. Like,
or as many as you can.
Yeah. And I was telling the homies that like, I never record anything at the show. Today I brought my camera. Today I was only supposed to be there for 2 hours, do my thing, hook up with Heat Press Nation, and I was taking off. I ended up being there all day. But today's the first day I actually like recorded content, went into booths, showed some stuff that I actually like and what things that I was looking at. Every year that I've been on YouTube, every year that I went to the show, I've never done that because I'm more interested in meeting the people like yourself. They're like T-shirt buddy. Every time I see people that internet friends, I guess you could call it, I'm like, shit, man, I want to drink a beer with you and hang out. You know, like same thing with Tom from G6. Whenever I see him, let's drink a beer and just hang out. Ride beats, same exact thing. It's always just like more of like everybody just getting together at this thing. And I just want to be in the moment and talk. I don't want to pull my phone out. I'll take pictures with everybody, but mainly I would just want to meet everybody. You know what I mean? Because there's so many people that have dope ass stories and I appreciate everybody's conversation that I don't want to shortchange nobody and cut them off early because I have to get somewhere. For myself, I'd rather hear your story because that means more to me than the appointment that I got. You know what I mean? And for me, it's always putting the people first, but mainly because I'm kind of interested in everybody's story because I'm pulling inspiration from everybody. Right.
I was just about to say, you never know.
People don't know that that's what I'm pulling, and I'm using that as motivation for myself. Sometimes somebody's sharing a gym with me, and I'm like, oh, shit, you do that? Man, I need to do that too. Like one of the homies, I was walking around by the Ryanet area, and I met him last year, him and his family, and he does embroidery, but he also has like I think he has like a video company or something like that. He put me on to like some of these other heat presses and some of these other little tools that he's using. And I'm like, shit, man, you put me on to something. You know what I mean? And I pull that information or inspiration from everybody I talk to all the time. And people don't know it. They're just sharing their story. But like we're talking right now, and you said the wheels are turning. Same exact thing for me is like now the brain just going like, oh man, it's gonna be on. Like give me a little bit of time, it's on.
Yeah, I definitely like again like walking in there that I felt that energy.
Yeah,
and I'm like, yeah, I'm you know again been telling my wife, yo, can you believe I'm going to LA? Right, telling my kids, yo, can you believe I'm going to LA? And still. I'm sitting here and I can't believe I'm here.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's one of those, I don't want to say like a bucket list item.
Yeah.
But it's got that feeling like, yo, this is a heavy accomplishment.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
For me personally, it's a big freaking accomplishment because I don't travel like that.
Yeah.
You know, in the vendor game, I don't do a lot of shows because there's a lot. I've been invited to East Coast and West Coast shows to do shows. And I'm like, nah, I'm not traveling like that.
Yeah.
You know, my actual vendor tour is within an hour of my crib.
Yeah.
So I don't travel that far with my merch.
Yeah.
Right. And I've been, again, invited to hell of, like right now, I just recently got an email from a company in Syracuse, New York, that's having a show. And they've been at me for like 3 months. Like, yo, we really want you here. We heard about you and blah, blah, blah. We seen the merch.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, you know, that it's mind-boggling to find that a so-called promoter is interested in what you do. Or any person is interested in what you do, right? And then when they get to talking to you about it and they start expressing how it might make them feel or what turns they made because of that, like you was just saying, you don't know if dude from Arizona is here tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right? You already been a blessing to that man. And now that you're standing in front of him, you don't want to shortchange him of that blessing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like almost full circle, right? And I guarantee you, he knew you was in a rush, but that man got way more respect for you just for the fact that like, you like, yo, I'm late. I got 5 minutes though. I'm standing right here.
Yeah.
And I'm tuned in. And I knew when I bumped you,
Yeah.
I was like, yo, because I told Mike, I said, yo, here, record this, watch.
Yeah.
And I did the New York bump thing.
Yeah.
Right? And I knew you was going to turn around like,
yeah.
And when you turned around, I knew I had caught you off guard, and I was like, I'm going to just keep it moving.
Yeah.
So that's why I shook your hand, let me keep it moving,
Yes, sir.
right? And then also I knew, yo, at some point, if not today, tomorrow at the meetup, I got all the time in the world to chop it up with you, right? Yeah. But again, like, bro, you've been part of my journey as far as social media goes, because I'm not trying to replicate your success, but I picked up creative points or those valuable points that I see that work for my social media moves.
Yep.
Right? And again, coming here, I was like, yo, my main goal was get to impressions, meet you, meet Mike, G6, Rod Beats.
Yeah.
Right? And then also my man Christian from TKO Sales.
Yeah.
And Erasmus, who's also with, he works with TKO Sales from Garment Creations.
Oh,
remember he interviewed you years back, right? So he rocks with TKO.
Yeah.
And the crazy part about that is I walked into the booth. E turned around and saw me. I've been talking to E before he interviewed you.
Oh, damn.
So I'm like, yo, and it's our first time meeting, and you would think we would meet sooner.
Yeah.
Because we both hit up AC all the time.
Yeah.
But, it just worked out the way it worked out.
Oh, shit. He's here?
He's here.
Oh, dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, again, man, like, I'm like, yo, I can't believe, like, all day, it's been my catchphrase, yo, I can't believe I'm here. Yo, look, it's palm trees. Yo, I can't believe I'm in LA. And I'm just, Mike is taking me around, showing me some of the sights.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, everything, like you said, everything looks like a movie to me. But then, all right, we saw some of the sights. Let's get to business. As soon as we pulled up into that garage, that energy, like I started feeling the build up. And then when I got to the registration, I was like, yo, I'm freaking here. Like, yo, I'm here, yo. And then again, seeing everything, like that room is packed to the gills with vendors. And not only vendors of stuff that I love to do or use or tools that I use, but just like these booths, man, some of the build outs, like you were saying, bro, some of them are like crazy inspirational.
Yeah. After I saw Howard pressing on the backside of that Jeep.
Right?
And then Ricoma had like a 4Runner or a Land Cruiser out there with like the tent coming off the back. I said, man, they bringing in like, there's no rules no more. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like this shit is crazy.
Like somebody's taking the game really serious.
Which is dope, man. To me, it just elevates everything that we do, and it just brings so much more attention to what we're doing. And seeing our industry kind of boom and take to what's popular and stuff like that now is dope, because we came a long way, like we said, from the old screen printer days, somebody sitting behind a 6-foot table, to these full build outs. And I'm like, yo, this is dope, man. Like, especially like all the blank companies and stuff like that, they always do it up. And I appreciate the attention to the detail, but I also appreciate the people working the booths, because one, they're knowledgeable. Two, they're actually there to answer the questions. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Sometimes, long time ago when DTG first started to come around, DTG manufacturers of like these printers used to use just pretty girls in the booth that didn't know shit about the printer, but they was giving away free shit because they knew that was going to attract the people to the booth, because that's what the show used to look like back then.
Correct.
The people walking around was just heavy set old men walking around, and obviously a pretty girl giving away a free bag or something is going to attract them in. Now, the pretty girl in the booth actually is knowledgeable about the shit they're selling.
Correct.
And that to me is, man, it full circle for myself of seeing what the show used to look like to what it is now is crazy.
Yeah, it definitely like I was telling Mike, I was like, yo, AC is like trash compared to this, bro. 100%. And then We weren't even in the main room. We were in the back room.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, dude, AC is smaller than this back room.
Oh, damn.
And he was like, what? I said, yo, AC is like half to 75% of this room. Not even the full 100.
Damn.
And then we walked into the main, like we walked through Ryanette.
Yeah.
And then we got to the main room and I'm just standing there. I'm like, yo, this freaking place is filled from front to back, side to side. And there's something crazy about this whole expo that nobody even thinks about, which is none of them people are making money.
Nah.
These people shell out 20, 30, 40 grand for these booths just to tell you about their product.
Yep.
Not even, there's nobody actually there committing you to purchase orders.
Yeah.
They ask you questions, obviously, to see where your head is at.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing with your business?
Yeah.
But there's literally not somebody there there's nobody selling blanks.
Yeah.
You can't just buy a blank right there.
Yeah.
Yo, I want to try this out right now. You
Yeah.
can't even do that.
Yep.
I don't know if that's in the future for them or if anybody is thinking about it, but
I always thought about that for the vinyl companies. Like, why not just have some
You got
5-yard
the
rolls?
rolls.
Yeah. Yeah.
The rolls don't take up so much space.
Yeah.
But it's just I was walking around there today like, yo, look at this. I'm standing in one of them booths that I knew for a fact was $30,000 to build out. And I'm like, yo, they're not even selling anything right now.
Yeah.
It's just it's the risk that they're taking.
Yeah.
Right? To hopefully talk to me and convince me to go home and put in a wholesale order.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. They ain't really worried about that money that they invested into the booth, which is, how can I say it? Like, I don't know if the word is commendable, but it's like, yo, to think that you could shell out that kind of money, that's betting on yourself without even worrying that it's coming back.
1,000%. 1,000%. Yep.
And what I try to tell people in our group, in the Facebook group, from day one, you get people coming in the group saying, yo, I want to do this full time, but haven't sold their first shirt.
Yeah.
Right? Yo, you can't get to that. In all honesty, my best years was when I was doing my thing as a side hustle.
Yeah.
Those were my best freaking years. There was no pressure on me to actually do the work or get the work in.
Yeah.
It was more of a, when it comes, it comes.
Mm-hmm.
But the addition of everything was so huge. I already had the salary.
Yeah.
So I could understand like how you rocking your 9 to 5.
Yep.
Yo, everything is paid for already that I need to take care of. And then there's this.
Yeah. And that's what a lot of people don't understand is like we open this store when we have time. The store's here every single day. It's not open every single day. When we have time is when we do it. If we're not out vending, if we're not out doing other stuff with our families, if we're not working the day job, then we're here opening this thing up.
Right.
But for us, this is just something that we just love to do. Like I love selling t-shirts. You know what I mean? If I could sell t-shirts every single day, I would. But for myself, it's doing this right here. Every time we open, it gives us a chance to do better than we did the last time.
Correct.
And we treat it like if we're going out vending, right? Anytime you go out and vend, you see what works with the booth, what doesn't work. You switch it up for the next event. So the next event's going to be better than the last one. Same exact thing that we do with this store. And having a retail store of our own with our own merch and stuff like that, it just gives us a chance to learn everything we need to know about, the process that we actually pick and pack these orders, everything from how to get just people to come into the store. All of that stuff for us is just, we're using it as building blocks. So then that way, eventually we could move out of this space. Like I said, this is a test bed for us. We're just testing out the concept of production in the back, retail in the front.
Right.
Knowing that this motherfucker works, like we've been at it for 2 years and the shit really works, just opening up one weekend out of the month, we could actually go to another spot and actually do it, but we want to fine tune what it looks like before we actually make the move because it's a risk, right? We go into this other space, we get a bigger location and we want to like go all in on it. We want to know everything that worked at this spot so we could bring it over there so we don't bring anything that didn't work. You know what I mean? For us, that's how it's always been. It's because like we were talking about earlier, just being risk takers as business owners.
Right.
You got to make smart business decisions. Even though you're taking the risk, you want to minimize the failure in anything that you do. You know what I mean? So like I talk about it all the time, proof of concept. This store is proof of concept. I'm just proving to myself that this shit's going to work. So eventually when I get the new location, I know exactly what the hell I need to do. And you got it. The ill part about like everything that I'm doing here and having a day job is you're right. The safety net is there. Bills are paid. Everything that
it's a great freaking way to operate.
It's so many people think it's the worst way to operate because they feel
the time.
Yeah. But for myself, it's like I'm at liberty to try anything. See what works, see what doesn't work.
See, for me, See, for me, unfortunately, when I lost my last 9 to 5, which was on April Fool's.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's even crazier because that same year, me and my wife, back then was my girlfriend.
Yeah.
We were getting married that same year at the end of the year. And we were bickering over should we get married here or do an away wedding? And I'm like, yo, if we get married here, it's like 20 grand, 25 grand. We go away, it's only 5 grand.
Yeah.
I made the mistake of saying, what happens if one of us loses our job?
Yeah.
April Fool's comes. I worked for this company called Gateway.
Yeah.
April Fool's, they literally sent out this email, everybody's gone.
Damn.
Period. Over 3,500 employees store-wide, and then corporate and all that good stuff, right?
Damn.
I tell my wife, now we done put a deposit on this wedding hall, all that. I tell my wife, all right, you'll see. Came home from work, like, it was the final week or 2 weeks or whatever. Come home, turn on the news. Gateway, who was a direct competitor to Dell Computers, Gateway shuts its doors. After so many years, a new investor came in and was like, man, screw everybody. Yeah. I'm doing a tax write-off, cutting everybody. My wife is like, yo, what the heck? But by the grace of God, we did what we needed to do, right? We made it to the end of the year, and I didn't have another job. I went full-time, hard body, just with the business. Yeah. Right? And at that time as well, I wasn't registered. Yeah. I wasn't a registered. I was still like a freelance dude, right? And my daughter was just born. Yeah. So came home and was like, tell my wife, either you go to work or I go back to work. Yeah. She's like, I'm not staying home. All right. So I stay home with the kid because we couldn't afford babysitting. And I just do what I do. And by the grace of God, since I'm 22 years now, straight full time. That's right. With the business. Yeah. Right. Been bankrupt, been through all the ups and downs. Am I G'ing off the way that I could? No. But that's because part of it is the control that I have over the system. Part of it also is I know what my limitations are. Yeah. I don't need to force myself and put myself under the duress of everything or the stress of everything when that's going to take away from what I'm creating. Yeah. We design stuff, man. We don't put out that first iteration of it. You make it and you see how dope it looks. But you got to sit with it because eventually you're going to see, yo, the curve on that K needs to be just a little bit. And it's only things you might see. Yeah. But in the overall scheme, that little thing is making it look so dope.
Yeah.
You know, the item that I gave you earlier, right? That's a new piece of equipment that I purchased.
Yeah.
I have not taken any full steps towards utilizing it to its full.
Yeah.
But that one piece of equipment already, like the day I bought it, I had access to doing over 100 products.
Jeez.
And within 1 week, I showed up at my show. I already had 2-3 products brand new on my table.
Yeah.
Before I even mastered
Yeah.
the freaking equipment, I showed up, you know, keychains and pins.
Yeah.
Man, listen, bro.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's like, all right, this year I said, yo, I got that machine. That machine is about to take me to this next level. I already know in terms of my personal brand, my Never Scared to Hustle collection, I already know where I want to go with it, right? And it all has to do with that machine.
That's right.
Right? But again, it's that risk. I risked a lot of money to get it, right? But I already know, and it's a long play for me. That's the other thing, too, that I think a lot of newer cats, because they see all these cats in the industry right now making all these T-shirts, right, and having so-called, like, visual success. We see it.
Yeah.
Excuse me. We see it, but we don't know if they're really hitting those numbers. Right? You don't know how many years that person been doing whatever they doing.
No.
Right? But then on the other end, the kid could be fronting about his numbers.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
But again, that's dude's story. And that's what he's telling.
Yeah.
Something about it is working because visually it's appealing to whoever.
Yeah.
But it's not a short game. It's always been a long game.
Yeah.
When you create a line, even if you create a single T-shirt, it's not a short game. It's a long game. And you don't want it to be a short game. I want this T-shirt to rock as long as it freaking can.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I sell 10 now and then people don't pay attention to it for 6 months and then all of a sudden I sell 20, I'm up.
Yeah.
And I always feel like that's the thing with my designs. I'm willing to play the long game.
Yep.
Right? Now, you know some things just don't work.
Yeah.
Might be a colorway. It might be that you put out this design at the wrong time. Like a heart design. Instead of putting it out in February during Valentine's Day, you wait till March, April, May.
Yeah.
When it's not going to be as effective.
Yeah.
Right? So you got to recalibrate in order for you personally to make your products, or I should say, instead of saying recalibrate, like personally, you need to recalibrate and start thinking like, yo, can I make this design go? You know, like you were saying just recently, you were saying that one of your peoples puts out new items on a weekly basis or something like that.
Full
right?
collections, yeah.
Bro, in order to get there, it takes a long time.
Yep.
That doesn't just happen because, you know, I seen them do it, I'm going to do it.
Yep.
Nah, you got to map that out, bro.
Yeah.
You got to map that out.
Yeah.
Like 2 years ago, or before COVID, I should say, I planned out a 12-month drop. One new item, 12 months. Drop the first of the month, let the items rock for 30 days, drop the next one. That was the game plan. I dropped the first item. It did super well the first 2 weeks, and then it fizzled. When I went to drop the second item, the first one kicked in, but in a different colorway. And I was like, oh, I could hold off on this second one.
Yeah.
Let me let the main one shine.
Yeah.
And I did that, right? And now to the average person, when you see me, right, I'm not flashy or anything like that. I'm not promoting my success like that. And I'm not G'ing off like all these so-called big brands, right? I'm doing what's good for me.
Yeah.
And you got to be able to, I'm not saying be content with whatever it is you got, but there has to be some sort of contentment for what you have, not complacency.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that 100%.
So you got to be like, again, I see your stuff. That freaking South Bay hoodie, the brown one, I knew that shit was going.
Yeah.
First time I saw it, I knew it was going.
Yeah.
I'm in New York and I knew it was going. Before you even said anything, I was like, yo, look at this shit. And again, simple text design is just the right colorway, the proper freaking drop of it, right? And then the other thing, which is speaking volumes, but nobody's paying attention, which is what you said. I don't promote it.
Yeah.
I just wear it.
That's all it is. It's in your face without being in your face, right? And a lot of people, we know this both, that when people feel like they're being sold something, they're already on the defense. They already don't want to buy nothing because they feel like they're getting sold something because they're used to being scammed and stuff like that. So you always have to think, all right, how can I get this person interested in my stuff without selling it to them? And that's the fun part of the business for myself, is actually getting a stranger to buy into something that I thought of, put it onto a garment, and now a stranger spending their hard-earned money with me because they believe or they actually relate to whatever I'm putting out and they like the idea and whatever. But there's so many people that would not buy that if I was like, hey, come and buy this hoodie from me, based off of them being scammed or not wanting to be sold anything. So I kind of like I say all the time, like I make the designs relatable to somebody so then that way the sale's easier on me. I don't got to sell the item. The item sells itself because I'm making something for the person specifically. You know what I mean? That hoodie's a perfect example. It's like that hoodie doesn't speak to you. Like you live all the way across the country. You're not from the South Bay of Los Angeles. It's for a small community here, and they're the ones that relate to it. But for myself, I'm thinking, all right, if this person's wearing it, this high school kid's wearing it, I want that kid's mom to see it and be like, hey, that's cool. I want one too. And then I want to buy this for my brother who moved to Idaho that grew up in the South Bay. That's what I'm thinking of. Like when I talk about like knowing exactly who you want to sell to. Yeah. I'm in the weeds like that. Like, I'm like, all right, this mom's going to buy it for her kid. Then she's going to buy it for her brother and she's going to be wearing it. And now her little walking club is all going to want that same hoodie. That's who I'm designing for. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Because like I said, this shit sells itself. You know what I mean? Without having to be sold. And that makes the sell easier on me. I don't have to do too much work. And I like thinking, I don't want to just say thinking outside the box. It's just creatively speaking, how am I going to get this product into that lady's face? How can I go to this lady and be like, buy this hoodie because I know you're going to be interested in it without having to say that? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, like even like you said, South Bay is like a local thing, right? It's the same thing I did. Like I have a collection which is called Apartment 13C. It's paying homage to where I grew up at. Essentially, what happened was I bought this website, this URL, apartment13c.com, and I was like, I want to do my biography for my kids, just in case anything happens to me, God forbid. Yeah. But they know where I'm from, why I do what I do. Yeah. That was the original idea. Again, COVID hits, right? Right before COVID hit, I was, at the beginning of the year, you do your yearly analysis and you're like, I want to be here, do this, do that. I said to myself, I think I want to cut out my clientele, right? I think I only want to work with 4 people. Yeah. And I asked for that. I put that out there. COVID hit. I lose 90% of my clientele.
Mm-hmm.
I'm left literally like 4 people.
Yeah.
And it's not 4 people that I really want to work with. But I got what I asked for without knowing, right? Anyway, we needed masks.
Mm-hmm.
You hit me up.
Yeah.
Yo, I got masks, bro. I got access if you need them.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking about selling them.
Yeah.
But, yo, let me support your beat. Send me 50.
Yeah.
Send me a 50 pack. My man Travis sends me this picture. Somebody in his face, I don't know who it was, made this mask. Looked like a little kid took a crayon and did a design.
Mm-hmm.
He was about to spend like $20 on a mask. And I'm like, no, dude, don't do it. And he was like, wow, you could do better? I was like, yeah. Honestly, yeah. But I'm not trying to sell you on it. Well, what can you do? I said, well, I got these masks. I throw your name on it, whatever. Yeah, let me see something. Made the first design for the block.
Yeah.
That dude took it, jumped on Facebook, shared it with the like-minded group. And the only reason it came out so good is because the avatar, that person that I'm trying to sell to is me.
Yeah.
And I bet the whole thing on the nostalgia of where we grew up at. So I already knew, all right, where I live at in the projects, there's 3 parks. The 3 parks growing up fought each other.
Mm-hmm.
It was battles. In the basketball court, football, baseball, stickball, tag, like any of the childhood games.
Yeah.
It was Barrel Park versus Space Park. Turtle Park never counted. No Turtle Park, you don't get no props. Even on this big stage right now, the Turtle Park has always sucked and will always suck. It's just Space Park and Barrel Park. Okay, now that's sorry for the rant.
Yeah.
But even with that being said, one of the first designs that I created was my park is better than yours. And I made these little these little icons.
Yeah.
Because each park was represented. Like the Turtle Park had a turtle in it. Space Park had a spaceship.
Yeah.
And the Barrel Park had these barrels.
Yeah.
They were like these kids. They were kid toys.
Yeah.
Like the concrete.
Yeah.
Right? Anyway, so I had that design. But we always used to say Cedric Friends for Life. And took that. I could turn that into something. Made this design with it. My man Trav said, yo, this is fire. Give me 3 of them.
Yeah.
Made 3 masks. Shipped them to him. 2 days, they on Facebook. 2 days.
Yeah.
That email, ding, ding. Yo, I need that mask. Yo, I need that mask. Then my man Bucket was like, yo, you know it would be dope? He had just ordered masks for me. Be dope if you had T-shirts to match. I said, I got T-shirts.
Yeah.
And he was like, why you ain't, man, send me a T-shirt, man.
Yeah.
And my man Bucket is like a crazy big critic. I sent him that joint immediately. Yo, these joints is quality, blah, blah, blah. You know, and it's a lot harder for us as smaller businesses. We're critiqued a lot harder by our immediate circles. Right? They check for the quality.
Yeah.
Right? And it's crazy because not to switch gears, but who was I think it was Rob Beats was saying on his live how like, what's this thing with everybody stretching?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, that's because of us. Because we as a collective, because we're trying to show that DTF don't crack, so we stretch the damn shirt as far as we can.
Yep.
Right? And we stretch it all kinds of ways. Ain't nobody stretch it. Yo, I love this shirt. They just pick up right off the hanger, fold it up. Ain't nobody stretching nothing.
Yeah.
So anyway, I started creating these designs, and before I know it, I done had 10, 12 designs and a whole collection for my hood.
Yeah.
And I see the same thing happening with that South Bay.
Yep. Right
quick. And all it take is that one to connect. Not even go all the way, like, you know, you rocking with it. But it just needs to connect or click, because then that puts the buzz into that mom's ear, like, yo, I wonder if he got that in pink.
Yep.
And then that request might come in.
The way that this hoodie spread, when I dropped it, the first initial release was we opened the store, and then I already had put the food posts out and stuff like that. People were coming in. The second time that we opened the store, this is the following month, that's all people came in for. Mm. That's all they came in for. They was waiting on the shit. Like, oh, you guys, I was waiting. They was coming in and they was buying them by 4s and 6s. Like, they was buying them for people. You know what I mean? And not to say it was a feeding frenzy, but it just boomed without me doing anything. I put that one food post out, me at a restaurant wearing the hoodie, and then it's crazy just spread. When that happens, man. And to me, like we was talking earlier, like when we talk about like catching lightning in the bottle, right? You're lucky, but in the sense of when I made this, I created my own luck. I knew exactly who I was making this for. I knew exactly who I wanted to sell it to. And I've done it time and time and time again. It's the recipe is just know your audience, create something that they can relate to, rinse and repeat. Let the product sell itself. And that is it. And it happens so frequently in the store alone that when people come in, there's always something brand new for them to get. You know what I mean? And I was just telling my partner, Dave, it's just, instead of trying to recreate the wheel, we just got to keep doing that. We just keep creating stuff for the people around here. They're going to come in. They already bought that hoodie. Next time they come in, they're going to buy the t-shirt. Next time they buy the t-shirt, probably buy a hat. And it's just going to keep building a small following around the store. You know what I mean? But like I said, it's not, it seems lucky, but like I said, I'm creating my own luck. I know exactly what I'm doing because I'm thinking of that person. Like you were saying, the people from your neighborhood, you know, you're creating something that they relate to.
Yep.
Nobody's putting nothing out like that. They want to represent their neighborhood. Obviously, they're going to buy the mask, the t-shirt, the hoodie, the hat. Because of the relatability of that design, it speaks to them, pulls on their heartstrings, and they're like, yo, I need that. And to me, that's the only way to do what we do and see success out the gate every single time. I preach about it all the time. Everybody that I stopped and talked to today at the Impressions Expo that say, what would you tell your 18-year-old self, or what's best advice to give to a beginner? It's know your audience. Really study the audience. Make the shit that they want.
Before you make any moves.
Yeah. Know who you're going to sell the stuff to, because then that way you'll see success early on. Majority of the people, they create the design, then go find the audience for that design. Doesn't work that way.
That was me. Yeah. I definitely was like create first.
Yep.
And of course, from the experience, you start to learn, yo, hold up. Give yourself a minute to do a little bit of research.
Yeah.
And then again, especially like with my hood, I already knew who that person was because it's me.
Yeah.
It's all the childhood memories.
Yep.
Like, I mean, if I was to make a design with a Scully board on it, with the tops and all of that stuff, them people on my block instantly would know everything. And all I got to do is write Killer Dilla on there. Mm-hmm. They would know everything. It would bring back so many memories, like the ice cream man, Bobby, who sold the push-up pops that had the best freaking tops that you could make with wax or clay or tar from the street, which you cut out, use a piece of glass from a bottle, you scoop the tar out from the street, fill that in your top. You got a nice weighted top.
Yeah.
Bro.
That's when we're talking about making stuff relatable and you're talking about people from your neighborhood, exactly what you're talking about right now is things, nostalgia always sells. That's why throwback jerseys work. Like nostalgia always sells because somebody somewhere is going to be like, I remember that. If you don't play into that, and I'm not saying everything has to be retro and everything, but there's ways that you could actually tweak that to make it look modern, but still talk to that same exact audience. You know what I mean? A lot of people forget that when we're talking about Mitchell and S throwback jerseys, the reason it works so good is because so many people remember those players. And that's why those jerseys will always sell. You're selling an old player that doesn't play anymore.
Right.
but there's an audience for it because that audience was a fan at one time of that person, and it brings them back to, I remember going to the game back in the 80s and watching this dude or watching him on TV, or that right there should be a telltale sign for a lot of people in their business when we're talking about making things relatable. If you play into those things, you win all day long, all day long. For myself, we could chop it up all day long. All day. You know what I mean?
I
but
know.
To wrap this thing up, let me know, like, as far as long, like, you've been in the game for a long time, vending, making your own merch, designing for a ton of people, designing for yourself. What's something that you could tell, not just your younger self, but the dude that's on the corner right now thinking about doing this, or somebody that's watching it right now thinking about, I want to start designing, I want to start learning this, I want to get into the merch game, I want to start vending. I don't even want to say give me a gem, but like when we're talking like actually helping people, what's something that you think would actually really help the younger generation that wants to get into anything that you do? How can you explain to them where they'll see success and not shy away from it? You know what I mean?
Excuse me. The answers are within you. Regardless of whether you think they're not, the answers are always within you. You have the power to do this if you really want to do it.
Yeah.
The reason why I chose this as the answer is because there's a lot of negative self-talk that goes on to somebody when they're starting out. They talk to themselves like that. Like, you know, I think I got something, but I'm not sure. It might be really, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I want to do this though. Like you're very, conflicted. However, the answers are within you. And the main thing is the time of it. When you plan on jumping into this, it's not go all in. Do your homework.
There you go.
Study. That's probably the one thing I'm more pissed about. What I'm about to say is probably the one thing I'm more pissed about than anything that has to do with our industry, which is you cats got it so freaking easy right now in terms of access to the information.
Mm-hmm.
And all it takes, I mean, you just got to put up that much effort.
Yeah.
It's not even, you ain't got to search, but all you got to do is go on you, like you probably heard a million freaking YouTube people say, go to YouTube University.
Yep.
Right? Yo, there's a lot of information for you to sit, like you could Netflix and chill all the time, not to use that old term, but you do that all the time. Skip 5 or 10 minutes and get on YouTube and look up whatever it is. But again, the answers are within you. You got the power to do this thing if you really want to do it. The only thing is, change your definition of success. Don't just base it on one item, which most people base it on money.
Yep.
Like for a person, I'm going to make some similarities here. A person with asthma, success for them is when they have an asthma attack, they use that little pump and they breathe.
Mm-hmm.
That shit ain't got nothing to do with no money.
Yep.
I just need to get a breath of fresh air.
Hell yeah.
Right? Somebody starving. All they want is a little bit of food, not even a full plate, just enough food to stop that pain in their gut.
Yeah.
That's success, right? So if you are looking at numbers or money to do this and you get ahead of yourself, I got this design, I know it could sell $1 million.
Yeah.
And you start looking at that million instead of looking at that design and making sure that shit is tight.
Yep.
You're going to lose.
Yeah.
It don't matter how dope it is or how in demand it is. You're going to lose.
Yeah.
Right? But again, before you make any of the moves, realize that you got the power to do it, number one, first and foremost. define or make sure you know what your definition of success is, and don't base it on anybody else's success, because your success and my success totally different.
Yeah.
Right? You and me, like I said, we share a lot of similarities, but your life is your life, my life is my life. I tell my kids, yo, y'all my kids, but I'm not in charge of y'all happiness or none of that. Whatever y'all decide to do with y'all lives, y'all do it.
Yeah.
You know, I cannot be the one to stop you or block you, and don't let me.
Yeah.
Don't let your mom be the one to block you from doing whatever it is.
Yeah.
As long as you ain't doing nobody else harm, you keep it pushing.
That's a crazy thing to say, because a lot of times, speaking from as a parent myself, our jobs is to protect our kids, right?
Yep.
100%. Anytime that I talk to any of my kids, whatever makes them happy, like their taste in music. Me and my family do this thing, like my older kids and my wife, we have a group chat. We send each other a song every single day in that group chat.
That's dope.
Everybody, that gauges the temperature of that person's mood for the day. You could see if they feeling down, they feeling happy, they feeling good.
That's dope.
The other thing is it gives me a chance to understand what they listen to and what speaks to them, whether it's the music, whether it's the lyrics, the artists they listen to.
And that connection happens.
And it gives me and my wife a chance to put our kids on to some of the music that we grew up on. It just does this thing for us, right? But their music choice has nothing to do with me. It might not be my music choice, but if that's what they're into, I can't fault them for that. Right. You know what I mean? I could be like, that music's trash all day long, but for them, that's what speaks to them. So when you're talking about you're not in control of somebody else's happiness and what they bring, that resonates with me, because I feel the same way for my kids. Whatever makes you happy,
right?
Do it. Even if it doesn't even please me or does anything for myself, don't worry about me. You got to worry about yourself. You know what I mean? So I appreciate you for even saying that.
Yeah, and the reason why I say that is I'm not trying to build two human beings that are rude to the world or disrespectful or anything like that. But my two humans, my kids, they need to know that for themselves, they need to be strong enough for themselves before they, and I tell them this all the time, you need to be strong enough for yourself before you can help anybody else.
Yeah.
And you got to be able to do and take care of yourself, regardless of, listen, our goal, our job as parents is to make sure that our children are equipped to deal with this world.
Yeah.
Right? Before we move on to the next. Now, even if you don't prepare your kids properly, if you instill in them the simple idea of power within self, to explore that internal power they have, because we all got it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, this might sound like I'm going off tangent, but we only have attachment to 10% of our brain power or capacity or something like that, right? I look at it from a different standpoint. You and me have a larger connection to our creative power versus if I get on the court with a Michael Jordan or LeBron James, I can't ball like I play ball, but I'm not dumb.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan and LeBron James are connected to a different percentage of their brain power when it comes to that sport or that physicality.
Yeah.
So everybody is built like that. And again, if you find it within yourself and you explore yourself, which is why I'm telling my kids, if you get strong for yourself, when you're ready to connect with that next person, whoever it is, if that person is half of what you are, you'll be surprised how much stronger that bond is going to be between y'all two.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I'm very fortunate to be married to the woman I'm married to, right? I have the utmost respect for my wife. She, till this day, has never asked me for money, for anything. Refuses to take money from me.
Yeah.
Even if I give her money on Christmas as a Christmas gift, she finds a way to stick it back in my wallet.
Yeah.
Right? And growing up, it's always been, yo, be careful with them hoes, man. You know, they always looking for your money or whatever. And here comes this person that is far removed from that whole ideology.
Mm-hmm.
Then to top it off, she's totally, like, her work ethic is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Rain, sleet, hail, snow. She travels like 2 hours to get to work. And I'm like, yo, I mean, I can't, you know. But again, because of the way I'm built, I know my limitations.
Mm-hmm.
And I perform within that. So when I'm telling my kids, like, yo, this power, yo, look at what your mom does for you.
Yeah.
She don't ask y'all for nothing. She's like, I don't ask y'all for nothing. We get up and go. When y'all come in, that refrigerator is full. That roof is over your head.
Yeah.
You ain't never got on toe-up shoes, toe-up clothes, you know. Do you have what everybody else has? No, but that's by design.
Yeah.
I don't need you to be knowing about name brands shit. I want you to make your own brand.
Yeah.
Anytime my kids draw something, I'm quick to freaking let me make a DTF transfer and show them, you know?
Yeah.
But again, that power is within you. Tap into that power.
Hell yeah.
And you'll be surprised if you tap into that power before you even move on with trying to do your own line. If you tap into that power, when you start to actually go to do your line, there's going to be little to deter you or stop you from getting it done.
That's right.
So that's where I would start at. And then obviously you want to give reality, you want to give realistic information. So set realistic goals. Nobody's selling $1 million out the door or out the gate. If you do, that's like the one-hit wonders of the world. Where they at now? They might have made, you know, a lot of bread off of that one hit, but all those people, for the most part, are pissed because they got to keep performing just that one thing. And you don't want to be a one-hit wonder. You want it to be, especially in this clothes game, you want to have these collections because now you got a full range of whatever that collection is to build off of for future, which could be, this is the first drop and it's a black and white colorway. Yo, this black and white did good, but we actually got a lot of requests for a blue and white. That could be the next drop in the colorway or in the collection.
Yeah.
So on and so forth. And you could build off of just that one design, like the South Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, you already mentioned, and this is why I told my man K from the group 718 Unlimited, I told him when I first started working with him, yo, listen, you want your designs to be applicable to more than just one item. So when I make a t-shirt design, I'm thinking tee, hoodie, socks, hat, sweats, book bag, baseball bats, cups, like the gambit. If I could apply it to every single, like if I'm looking at this and I could apply that logo to everything or that graphic to everything here, I'm winning. So one of them gonna win.
Yeah.
So
100%. Oh yeah.
So.
I appreciate that, man. Like it's always good to get insight from somebody else that's doing something similar to what I do, but getting the chance to pick somebody's brain and see what kind of makes them tick is the only reason why I do this. Talking to people, like we were talking earlier, conversation to me is, I draw inspiration from any conversation that I have. That's what, like, wheels are turning for myself also. You know what I mean? So I appreciate you sitting down and chopping it up. I appreciate you coming across the country to do this.
Bro.
You know what I mean? For the people, like, let them know where they could find you. Obviously, we spelled your name 1,000,000 times on this show, but let the people know where they can find you, what platforms to find you on.
On everything, I am Dizmajiz, Dizmajiz.
Hell yeah.
On everything. Earlier, when we was talking, and we was talking about content, during those conversations, remember to turn on the camera. It don't necessarily have to be pointed at one person. But I find that I usually have a daily call with my man K from 718 Unlimited in the group.
Mm-hmm.
I usually have a daily phone call with him and we talk business.
Yeah.
And I'm always pissed off that I didn't turn on the recorder to get what I'm actually saying to him.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I give him a lot of gems.
Yeah.
Right. And in terms of reciprocation, or getting that back from him, what I get from him in return, the blessing I get from it is, number one, I'm helping somebody further whatever their thing is going to be in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
He might not implement what I'm telling him right there on the spot, but he has done a ton of what I told him to do.
Mm-hmm.
And, bro, like night and day.
Hell yeah.
Right? And for me personally, when you see that feedback or when you see those wins for that person,
yeah,
it's not necessarily like I'm patting myself on the, I did that, yo.
Yeah.
Like, I don't do that. I get the pleasure out of seeing my man win.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Which is why I told you from day one, like, yo, I see what you're doing, bro.
Yeah.
Then when I knew you was winning, I was like, yo, just keep that shit going, bro. I don't know, I don't know you from nowhere, but yo, I'm in New York. I'm rooting for you like I'm right there down in LA with you.
Yeah.
You know? Same thing like with all these other cats in this building right now. Like, yo, man, I never try to downplay people because I always feel like that karma, I don't want to put that kind of energy out.
Yeah.
I always want to be able to create what I create, and whether people buy it or not, I want to get that feedback, see how I can make it better. And if I tell you, yo, B, man, that LA shit you got was trash, yo, Converse, this shit trash. If I tell you that, I'm already defeating my design.
Yeah.
Because when I put mine out, you got a bigger platform than me.
Yeah, yeah.
And if I told you that and you took it, instead of a critique, you took it personally.
Yeah.
You could see my design and go right on your joint and be like, yeah, so today, oh wait, before I even start, yo, this dude Diz, he put out some shit that's garbage.
Yeah.
And
there's a power behind that, right? Because of social media now. It gives everybody a voice, for one. That's why things like Yelp exist. But sometimes that power is used 100% for the wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it gives everybody opinion. And sometimes if somebody can type way better than they speak, it sounds stronger. So a lot of people react to it. And that's why, using Yelp as an example, when I see people give like crazy reviews on Yelp towards the business, but it's just directed at one individual because of their experience or whatever.
Correct.
That person could have had a bad day. That person could have lost their family member.
Real
you
talk.
never know. And, you
Real
know,
talk.
It's not that they were doing it intentionally, but for you to go on there and just bash the whole business and shit on the business, that to me is like, man, we're empowering so many people and giving them a platform to speak on certain things that, one, they're just giving their own experience, but that was just one day. But it sounds like that's how that company operates every single day. So when you're talking about, you know, if I went on my platform and was like, man, Diz's designs is trash and I'm shitting on your business, who am I to say? You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just, if my platform's bigger, there's more people that are going to listen, ultimately cripples your business and hurts just because of the platform. You know what I mean? Not necessarily because my design critique is better than yours or I know better in design than you do.
100%.
It's just, there's a little bit more eyeballs on the shit. And it's so dangerous that I've never bashed a company online ever, because every business owners to myself that's hard in itself, being a business owner. And to have to play defense against somebody like myself shitting on the business, it doesn't make any sense.
And that's the crazy part, to know that you got that power.
Yeah.
Right? To actually, like, whenever you want, you could press a button and really, like, do damage to somebody's livelihood.
Yeah.
Right? And these cats randomly, you know, like, I've in my personal conversations, I have totally shitted on some designers' work, right? But publicly, like to the masses, nah, man.
That's
and
not
then
my place.
The thing about me though is I'm also the person that goes to that person and says, yo, this design is not it.
Yeah.
First, I give them the valid reasons and wait for the response. And then if I got to hit you with the ghetto-ness,
Yeah.
then I come at you like that. I ain't got no
100%.
problem being that way.
Yeah.
Right? But I also realize, yo, there's two sides to the coin. You're not going to get everybody with vinegar. So like, yo, when you spit it, like try to sugarcoat it as best as possible.
Yeah.
So that they can receive what you're trying to put out there.
Yeah. Because for somebody to take negative feedback, it's a lot to unpack. It's a whole lot, right? And sometimes people don't digest it the same way you would. And the delivery has to be catered to the person receiving it. And it sounds stupid to say that, and we're talking about sugarcoating and stuff like that, but sometimes the way I would deliver something to like one of my homeboys is blunt, right out. Hey, check it out. That shit's fucking whack. Or let's change this up and do this instead. But if I'm telling somebody that, and I don't know their mental capacity and I don't know exactly what they did to create that.
Correct.
You know, I'm going to tell somebody so they can actually receive the information correctly and not have to just shit all over their idea or whatever they're doing. You know what I mean? There's different ways of doing it. And it all just comes down to, you know, dealing with personalities. But as a content creator or just an internet personality in general, you have to have the thick skin because it's coming at you all the time. And for myself,
definitely necessary.
There's a lot of times where I just want to shit all over everybody. You know what I mean? But it's not even worth it for myself because I'm letting somebody air themselves out in the comments, talking shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? And for myself, I could go back and forth, and I used to do it all the time. Like when I first got onto YouTube, shit was fun as hell to do because one, I had the time to do it. Two, I didn't know these people, so I didn't care. I don't know anybody on YouTube. So I'm just like, man, I'll say whatever I have to say because it doesn't matter. And it was fun for me. And then when I started to figure out that created the engagement and you get paid off of that kind of stuff, I'm like, man, I'm going to do this all day long. But like I said, there's never going to be a time where I'm going to bash another person's business, no matter how big the business is, because it doesn't do anything for my own business. You know what I mean? We always say, mind your own business. I stay in my lane. I mind my own business. I don't have no interest in anybody else's business. I'm not invested in anybody else's business. So my opinion doesn't really matter.
And it's crazy because you help people with their businesses, but they still got to understand like, yo, your business is your business. Yeah. And I shouldn't be hustling harder on your business than you are. Exactly. So when I'm helping you, you know, when I'm designing for you or whatever it is, I shouldn't be hustling harder than 100%. You are. Yeah. And most of the time, that's a turnoff for me. So I gotta put up the wall and be like, all right, I can't work with you any further because I gotta get back over here to my lane. Yeah. Right. And I'm not willing to dedicate this kind of time and energy to you when I don't feel like you're going 100. Yeah. For your own. Yep. You know? Man, bro, I could sit here just, especially like, because I'm like, yo, this is my only time in LA. Yeah. Like, this is a once-in-a-lifetime thing. I could sit here. We could just keep going, bro. 100%, like, man. For real. I appreciate you, man. Like, for real. Like, I appreciate you coming to LA, jumping on the pod. I appreciate Mike for bringing you through. Sitting down, getting a chance to talk. Like I told you at the very beginning, I don't got no questions. It's just general conversation. Whatever comes up. For myself, that's how this is how I want this podcast to be. Not an interview, but I actually just want to have the conversation. If it's bullshitting with Brandoh, I just want to bullshit. I don't want to sit here and ask you a million questions. Correct. And, you know, you just give me the standard answers. It's just talking, and if it flows for as long as it does, it does. You know what I mean? So I appreciate you for coming through. Yeah, man. Thank you. You guys could find this dude, Dizmajiz. Like I said, I'll leave everything in the description for you guys. Sir. All the way from New York. Yeah, B, I'm in LA, bro. You know what I mean? I'm in LA. Crazy. Tomorrow, ISS is going to be cool. I'll be there all day. We got a meet and greet going on tomorrow. Shout out to Tom from G6 for even putting it together.
But it'll be dope just to see everybody. And I believe tomorrow might be the bigger day. I think there's going to be a ton of people showing up.
It's definitely going to be more people.
Yeah. So it'll be cool, man. So Diz, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for stopping through, man. My man. Appreciate you.
All love, bro.
Find him on all social platforms. Follow me if you guys don't already. If you got any questions about anything Diz talked about, leave it in the comments. He'll get you. I'll get you. Follow me on Instagram, Big Brandoh TV. Catch you guys on next one, man. Yeah.